Welcome, welcome to the Penn-Wortman Houses Resident Virtual Landscape Roundtable. Next slide. As you know, this process is not how we'd like it to be. If we could, we would have this in person. But being that we are unable to do it at this time, we thought it was very essential to have this meeting and bring this to you to your homes or just virtually. And as you know, the process is if you're on the computer and you want to raise a question, you can raise your virtual hand and unmute yourself, and we'll call on you accordingly. And this is just part of the housekeeping. And then if you're on the phone and you want to raise your hand, you dial *9 and then you dial *6 to unmute and speak. But this is going to be a very interesting and exciting meeting because you'll actually have a lot of time to speak. This meeting is going to be different, not your typical meeting where folks are just talking to you and at you, but this is a meeting where we'll be breaking up into various breakout groups, and you'll be very pleased to see how we manage this breakout group so you can actually talk and listen and share with your neighbors. But before we do that, next slide. Let me share the agenda. As always, we'll have a brief message from NYCHA. We will recap from our last time we were with you in January. And then we'll have the introduction of the landscape architectural firm, Starr Whitehouse. And then there'll be a landscape presentation, and then we'll have the fun part. We'll go into small groups, discussions, and then we'll reconvene and share out the information. So I hope this is pretty clear. And then we're ready to begin. Next slide. So at this time, I'd like to ask our colleague, partner, and more importantly, the person to give you this information, Mr. Ian Lundy from NYCHA, to bring greetings.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Hi, everyone. My name is Ian Lundy, and I'm a director with the real estate team here at NYCHA. I want to start off by thanking all of you for carving the time out of your day to join us this evening. It is so critical that we're able to speak with you and hear your feedback to have a successful conversion. And as Yasmin mentioned, we do wish that this could be in person, but in order to really prioritize and protect everyone's health and safety, we're doing these online. So thank you for being flexible with us, and thank you again for joining us this evening. It really is so essential that we hear from you. So before we get started, NYCHA does just want to make sure that everyone understands how we got to this point, making sure everyone who maybe wasn't able to join us for some of our previous meetings has a little bit of context and background on what PACT is and who this development team we're working with is and how we selected them. So I want to quickly remind everyone of really our starting point here, which is that NYCHA needs over $50 million to adequately repair Penn-Wortman houses. And these are funds that we think are really deserved by residents, and we want to find the resources to fund. However, historically, we have not received the funding that we've needed from the federal government. So we've really only received a fraction of the funding that we need. And we've gone and we've lobbied and we've asked for additional funds in the traditional means. And what HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, has told us is that the best way for us to access the needed resources is to go through a partnership with another team who can help us bring on private resources. So this is called PACT, and it's our PACT conversion program. And what we do as part of PACT is we transfer over from the Section 9 program to Section 8, which I want to emphasize is still a public program. It's still a public subsidy coming from the federal government. It just has a little bit more flexibility built into it so that we can not just rely on public resources, which have consistently been inadequate, but that we can also look to bring private resources in as well. So as part of the PACT conversion, we unlock the funding we need to complete really comprehensive repairs at your development. So these are repairs to the apartments, the buildings, the community spaces, and also funding for additional social services. So the first step for a PACT conversion is for us to go out to the market and really ask all available development teams who has the capacity and who has the competency to do this work. And through a competitive process, NYCHA selected the team that you're hearing from today and you've been hearing from for the past several months. This is a team who we have tremendous confidence in and really believe can deliver both the initial repairs that we think Penn-Wortman residents deserve, but also act as a responsible long-term manager and a manager who will be more responsible than NYCHA has been able to be over the past few decades. So that's really the core of what PACT is and how we got to this point and who the team that you're going to hear from today is. Just a reminder for everyone that PACT is a holistic improvement to your site. So as part of PACT, we're looking at the sites and the grounds. That will really be part of the focus tonight. We will be looking at, with this team, build the buildings themselves, the facades, the internal systems, looking at the roofing, as well as the apartments and the actual fixtures that you're going to see in your kitchen. So this investment, these resources allow us to look at and address every single component that needs a repair. This isn't just us kind of putting a Band-Aid on an issue, but rather finding out what the underlying problem is and resolving that. Some additional points that I want to emphasize is that there are significant PACT resident protections that come as part of this program. So as part of the PACT program, your rent will not be more than 30% of your household income. This is guaranteed because NYCHA remains the owner of the ground, and we also are the administrator of the subsidy. So your Section 8 subsidy, in a very similar way to your Section 9 subsidy, will come through NYCHA, and we will have the authority to mandate that you will not be paying any more than 30% of your household income. You will maintain the right to organize. Resident associations will continue to receive funding if they are formed. You will have the right to renew your lease. Your application will not be rescreened upon conversion. You'll still have the ability to add relatives onto the lease. You'll continue to have succession rights from the previous tenants if you are currently part of that unit. You will continue to have grievance hearings. If you're a recipient of the Earned Income Disregard, this is still something that you will receive in exactly the same form that you do now. And you'll have the opportunity to apply for jobs that are created by this program. This is a large investment in your development that will entail a massive creation of new jobs to complete this work. So we're really excited about what this will mean for Penn-Wortman. And I want to emphasize our faith in the team that you're going to hear from tonight and work with. So with that, we're excited to hear from you. So I will hand it back to Yasmin.
Thank you so much, Ian. All right. So next slide. So what we'd like to do is at every meeting, it's essential for people to know that this is not just lip service. And so we thought it was important that we provide recaps of previous discussions, as well as be able to address what you may have asked or what you asked for, and then answers accordingly. So it's in writing. That's very important to get things in writing. And if you, again, have further questions today or further concerns during the breakout groups, that will be addressed, and it will also be recorded for the next meeting's recap. So just quickly, the recap, the last meeting was basically an introduction of our team. As we know, this process can be somewhat overwhelming, and especially during the time of a pandemic. So we wanted to give the opportunity to first introduce our team, which is comprised of Dante's partners, Douglaston Development, L&M Development, and SMJ Development. And basically, as you heard, PACT via Section 8 provides funding for site-wide renovations at Penn-Wortman. It also brings in a new management company as well. And the PACT program ensures permanent affordability and maintains resident rights. And this is just basically a timeline of what we expect. Pre-development, as you know, COVID has slowed down everything. And so we anticipate starting a lot of our engagements coming into apartments and meeting people probably by winter and summer, and then construction happening in the late fall of 2021, and then management transition fall of 2021 and project completion winter of 2023. Look, I know many of you have seen our team. You can go to the next slide. Many of you have seen our team and then asked us, well, when is this going on? What's happening? So if we don't sound like we have the right answer for you or we have a distinct date, it's happening soon. COVID, we're all being mindful of this global crisis. And so as soon as we're able to do things safely, then I think a original calendar progress will take place afterwards. So what we heard, questions that you asked, will residents be displaced? I think Ian covered a lot of this in his presentation earlier, but the questions that were asked, will residents be displaced? Answers no. What insurances are in place? There will be continual affordability and not market rent. What residents have to sign new leases? What is HQS, housing quality standards? And what can I do to prepare my household for the conversion? All of these issues we answered at the meeting. However, we will be having specific meetings to address individual concerns such as leasing, such as the interior construction, to talk about local hiring, next slide, to talk about HQS. But as of right now, we'll hold off on those specific matters because we're specifically addressing landscape design. But again, you got to repeat this stuff. What we want to reiterate and emphasize is what will stay the same. Residents continue to pay no more than 30% of their income. NYCHA will still own the land, maintaining a regulatory oversight and being a collaborative partner. The TA will remain a partner, and there will be a continuation of tenant participation funds. And residents in good standing will not be evicted. But what will change is in-unit and site-wide upgrades, which is stated here, enhanced security, new on-site management team to meet resident needs, on-site social provider, local hiring opportunities for NYCHA residents. And the thing that will change is NYCHA will administer the Section 8 waiting list after conversion. So there will still be controls over who will be residents at the site. It won't be strictly up to the private developer and manager. I just also want to just say and give a really huge shout out to our two ladies who are our American Sign Language interpreters. And you'll see them right now. We have Jennifer, and then we'll also have Melanie. They'll be going back and forth. So I just want to give them a really cool shout out and thank you for that. So again, you heard all the things that are happening, all the changes. Next slide. And there's a lot of things that you probably could talk to us about. But again, we encourage you to ask questions if you have a question. If you see something, if you hear something that's confusing, ask a question, right? By phone, you can call us 646-582-9791. You can email us, you can go to our website, and you can stop by. We're there. We're at 250 Wortman Avenue at apartment 1F. Next slide. So I want to just say again, you may have a lot of questions to talk about leasing, local hiring, but today is the day that we'll be talking about landscape design. And today is the day where you have an opportunity to just relish and enjoy what Penn-Wortman has to offer and just talk about what is important to you. That being said, I'm happy to now turn this presentation over to our landscape architectural firm, Starr Whitehouse, and that would be Laura, Starr, and Ankita Gupta. Laura, how are you?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Yasmin. I'm really sorry we can't be meeting you in person, face to face, but this is the next best thing. And we all really appreciate your spending your evening with us so that we can hear how you like the site, the landscape at Penn-Wortman, and what you do there, how you use it. If you have any dreams about how it could be better, we really want the full story about the outdoors at Penn-Wortman. I'm the founder of our firm of Starr Whitehouse Landscape Architects and Planners, and I founded the firm about 14 years ago because I really believe that outdoor spaces make living in the city so much better. And, I think the last year of COVID has really proven this, that these are like the green lungs of the city. This is where we go to have a nice conversation outside, to garden, to be in the shade of a tree, to feel the breeze, to maybe teach our children about nature, to walk around, to get exercise, to take our kids to play, all of these things. And our goal tonight is to hear from you how we can make, every inch of your landscape as good as it can be to you, not to us, but we want to hear how it will be great for you. And I'm going to turn this over to my colleague Ankita Gupta in a minute. She's our project landscape architect, our designer. And we also have 3 other wonderful people from our staff here who are going to be leading some breakout sessions so we can have a real conversation with you and show you some pictures, etc. So we're going to have Eddie Joe Antonio with us, and Yi Tian, and also Kirk Hyatt. And I think we can have the next slide where that just tells you about our firm, which I already did. So I think we can go to the next slide, and I'm going to pass this over to Ankita. And thank you again.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ankita Gupta.
Ankita, it's hard to hear you. Uh-oh. Oop.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Perfect timing. So I'm going to go through the landscape agenda for tonight. We're going to go through the objectives, look at some of the existing conditions at Penn-Wortman. Then we're going to break out into smaller groups to gather resident feedback. And then we'll regroup to summarize what we heard from each one of you and then discuss the next steps. Can we go to the next slide? Our objective today is to incorporate resident preferences mainly into 5 categories, which is maintenance and security, community spaces, recreation, site circulation, which includes footpaths and sidewalks within the campus, and then site planting. Can we go to the next one? So here we are looking at the existing conditions plan for Penn-Wortman. Just to orient ourselves, this is 875 Pennsylvania Avenue building, 920 Vermont. Can we go to the, 920 Vermont Street and 155 Wortman Street. The orange shows the existing basketball court. The yellow shows the playground, and then the blue shows the seating areas and where we have the chess tables right now. So we're interested in hearing your thoughts about how well these spaces work or they don't work. And in addition to that, as landscape architects, we're also interested to hear how best we can use all these other green spaces that are on site within the development. Can we go to the next one? So here we're looking at some of the existing conditions on site, and we're going to be looking at all aspects of how we can make Penn-Wortman a better place, including site lighting, trash collection, fences, etc. Next one. Looking at some of the community spaces here, we're interested to know how they're being used by the residents. Can we go to the next? We're looking at the basketball court here, so we would be interested to hear how these steps at the basketball court are being used. Are they being used for outdoor performances? Do people just sit here to see the basketball match while it's on? And for the playground, just so you know, we're going to be completely redoing the playground here, and we look forward to hear ideas and things that you would like incorporated within the new playground. Next one. Here we're looking at some footpaths and circulation and sidewalks within the campus. A lot of them seem really wide to us and have fences along them. So we'd be interested to hear what you think about them and if you think they are safe or you would like them to be narrower. Next slide. So currently there's a lot of lawn and tree area within the campus, and we would like to hear how we can make these spaces, how we can get the best and highest use of these spaces for the residents. And also would love to hear how it's being used currently with the current development. Can we go to the next? So before we break out into smaller groups, I'd just like to point at some questions that we'd like to focus on when we meet in those groups. We want to hear, like, what are the things that you currently like about the campus or what you don't like? And then we'd like to focus our effort to gather input on, like, what are the amenities that we can incorporate within the landscape design so it can become a much better and meaningful campus as we design and move forward. With that, if you go to the next slide, Jenna, I'm going to hand it over to you to explain the breakout rooms.